And now, a very special message from Andy of HWR.
Shut the fuck up!
This is Lance Archer, the American Psycho.
This is Brian Thompson, the voice of TCW Wrestling.
This is the original hardcore wrestling and freak of ECW, the one and only Axel Rodney. Yes, this is the Shockmaster, and you're listening to Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I'm the Shining Star, Rick Starr, and of course we got the whole group with us. First, he's my sidekick, he's my partner, he's the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, what's up?
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing alright. And over from Lance Moss TV, he's the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, what's going on?
Not much, thanks for having me.
And over from the West Coast, he's the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, how we doing?
Just on time to be on the show. And if you guys love traffic, don't.
And then from the Big Easy, he's James. James, how we doing?
I'm still waiting for MVP to come kick my ass after going to Comic-Con and not telling anybody.
I'll still get you.
Come on down. You're the next contestant. Oh, the Price is Right. Come on.
Oh, no.
And last but not least, please welcome back once again, Ms. Jack Shit. Jack, how are we doing tonight?
I am fantastic.
Well, let's get the show on the road. Guys, this past Thursday, we saw the unmasking of Abyss. Now, I know some of you guys have some mixed thoughts about it. I think, personally, once I saw the unmasking, it's finally the killing of this character. Andy, what was your thoughts?
I think it's a good way of killing Abyss's character, that's all I can say. It was just a very good way of killing the character, and what the hell are TNA doing?
Well, you know, for the past couple of months, like I'd say 5 or 6 months, they've had Joseph Parks walking around as this alternate ego, and it really wasn't working, and then they had, Eric Young trying to say, you are Abyss, you are Abyss, you are Abyss. And then, they put the mask on him and it's like, to try to bring back Abyss. And just as they bring him back, they rip the mask off him. So I don't understand why they're doing it, if they're trying to kill the character off or they're trying to do something else with Joe Parks. Because Joseph Parks does not work as a character at all. The Abyss character was working. Wouldn't you agree that before all this happened, Abyss was working as a character?
Oh, yeah, he was the Mick Foley stroke, Undertaker stroke, everything that was bad in the WWE. But now, it just made him a laughing stock.
Yeah, I absolutely have to agree with you. James, what's your thoughts?
It's a mixed feeling with this one. It's like, the question is not to me. It's like, why are they unmasking him? Are they going to have Joseph Park still be the Abyss without the mask, or what is it? I just don't get it.
Well, actually, you know what, Will? That's a good question, because when they took the mask off Kane, it really did kind of weaken his character. And we know now that obviously this mask is coming off. He's not, Abyss. He's Joseph Parks, which is really a very, very shallow, character. It wasn't that great of a character. So what do you think is going to happen now that the mask is off?
Seems like somebody took some notes from the WWE somewhere back there. But you know what, like Andy said, I mean, I agree with him on that. But there's a little bit more I'd like to add on to that. When you take off a mask off a wrestler, gimmick ready dies. How many times have we seen many gimmicks come and go? One too many. Once it's gone, it's gone. Why revive it again to no end? Makes no sense. So Kane's gone. You might as well kill this one gone and just move forward. I mean, it's lackluster in my opinion.
And lastly, over to Lance, your thoughts about this whole unmasking of Abyss / Joseph Parks. Do you think there's any promise for him? Well, there you go. Very simple.
Iron Sheik comes in there.
Simple and to the point. Well, let's move on then. Steve Austin, a lot of people are asking if Steve Austin will ever wrestle again, and we talked about this a little bit before the pre-show. At this time, Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't think he'll ever wrestle again. He started on the State of Us podcast that he's done with wrestling. When he filmed the Tough Enough show a few years ago, he even got in the ring and messed around and worked out a few times. And during that time, he reportedly banged himself more than he ever expected that he would, stepping into the ring just to have some fun. And I think that was pretty much what he was using as a catalyst to see whether he could just get back in the ring, and that was it. He's like, nah, not going to happen. Andy, I know you are a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, and I know you're right with Austin. You don't want to see him back.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, a bit like Edge, if he has one wrong, he can just slip off the ring apron, twist his neck, his career's done. Now, people might say, well, his wrestling career's done anyway, but he's got his acting career, he's got his television career. He's no good to anybody in a wheelchair. You can have as much money as you like, but if you haven't got your mobility, you're a complete waste of time. And for all the marks out there that think, oh, there's a possibility that Stone Cold Steve Austin might fight CM Punk, I'll take a phrase out of Stone Cold Steve Austin's book. That can happen anytime you want it to. Get the WWE game out, put it in your console, CM Punk against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Play it anytime you like. It's anything happening in the real world.
And Miss Jack Shit just pointed out, it could be just like Christopher Reeve. Look what happened with him.
Yeah, one stupid little thing. What did he do? Fall off the back of a horse and completely paralysed. He ended up turning into, is it Stephen Hawking, where his name is?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. James, do you agree that it's Stone Cold Steve Austin should, stay out of the ring, or are you one of these fans that says, I don't care, I got to see him one more time, one more match?
I'm one of those who says he should not be in the ring. His health is past his prime. His health is basically my main issue. But here's something I want to point out. When the story came out for that one, for one of the sites, Stone Cold Steve Austin said on Twitter, Jesus Christ, come on, guys. Total bullshit story. You're better than this, I think.
And Lance, give me your thoughts about Austin. What do you think?
As much as I'm a fan of Stone Cold, his body can't hold up. I mean, not only does he have his neck, his knees are terrible. It's time for Steve. He should just leave the knee braces and the boots hung up. If he wants to come out every once in a while and drink a few beers on camera, raise a little hell, okay. But full match, never.
Will, let me ask you, there are wrestlers, obviously, who don't know when to hang it up, and then there are wrestlers, obviously, like Edge, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who said, hey, look, you know what, it's obviously time for us to walk away, and, I mean, even CM Punk, who obviously is walking away from the business for other reasons, but, these guys just do, but there are other guys who just won't care. They'll just keep on going and going and going and going and won't care until they're either 65, 70, or until they're even dead and buried. Why do you think this is?
As I quote my famous writer, those who can't stay away from the spotlight is going to be their own worst enemy. And in pro wrestling and wrestling all across the nation, we know wrestlers like Terry Funk, Mick Foley, Hulk Hogan, list goes on. Their mobility is not the same as when they were in their prime. And, us as wrestling fans and writers across the world don't want to see these wrestlers die in the ring because of their ignorance. And plain put, when stubbornness gets the best of them, they're going to learn. And for my thoughts on Austin, I agree with everybody here. Your mobility's gone, your knees are shot. Come by, say hi, do your thing, stay away from the ring or you'll be like Hogan.
All right. Now we heard that Vince Russo is recently back in TNA. James, give me your thoughts. What do you think about Vince Russo back in the company?
For me, it's more 50-50, really. I'm on the fence about it. I mean, yeah, he did some great stuff, but he also did some worse stuff to companies. So right now, I can't say really much about it.
Will,
yeah.
I know you're not a big fan of Vince Russo. You've said it more than once that you don't like him.
Of course.
So but I'm going to ask you honestly,
okay.
Do you think he could do any good in TNA? Any good at all?
as long as he puts his ego and that one piece of bias he had a long time ago to the side, it can work. But, knowing Russo's past, I really don't know, Rick. I really can't say it would work out unless his act is 100% clean and he ain't biased in the head. Then yeah, but as far as now, I'm not so sure.
All right. Andy, I'm going to kick it over to you. I know that you do like Vince Russo, and I know you've always been a bit of a fan of Vince Russo, so I want some of your thoughts.
I don't see what he can actually do to TNA to make the show any worse than what it already is. And I always think Vince Russo, having watched the interviews that he's been on, the guy's full of himself. He wasn't the only person to write the Attitude Era, and he never said he was. But I think when shit hits the fan and Vince Russo's on the writing team, because he's such a well-known guy, everybody's after his bollocks, for the want of a better term, and it's not always his fault. There's more than him on the writing team. So I just don't see how he can make the product that they have at the moment any worse. That's my opinion. I just can't see him making it worse than it already is.
Okay. And finally, Lance, over to you.
Well, like Andy said, how can you make what TNA has going on any worse? But this also explains why Jeff Jarrett left. And honestly, the reason why this kind of explains why they took a business mask off. Vince Russo is known for taking guys' masks off.
So you think this was a Russo act and not anything else?
I kind of do.
Well, keep in mind that this was an act that was going on long before Russo stepped in.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Russo in WCW when they took Ray's mask off him?
True. It's arguable. I mean, maybe they were, maybe when he came in, it went in a different direction. But let's move along. Mickie James was recently at with the Performance Center, and she spoke with the Baltimore Sun about this. And obviously, she helped out several developmental divas. When asked about she possibly returning to the WWE, the former champion did not give a clear-cut answer. James said that she was mostly tied up with her music and other projects, but she said it was not completely out of the question. James, I'm going to start off with you being the king of divas.
Why is it? Is it because I took a picture with AJ Lee? Is it?
Was it a nude picture by any chance?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, you've just been done the king of divas. I think you can thank Billy for that one.
Thanks, Billy. Anyway, continue.
But still, what do you think about Mickie James? Do you think she could possibly come back?
I think she could possibly come back, but right now I think it's not a good time because if she's still working on music, I think she should rather do that first, then come back. If she does, she might. I'd rather do her have like a short stint instead of a long term, but it's just me.
Now, Andy, what do you think about the possibility of Mickie James coming back to the WWE? What do you think the chances of her actually having a run?
As much as I'd like to see it, I don't think there's anything left in the tank. Unfortunately, women's bodies, and I don't mean this as a sexist comment, tend to suffer late 30s, early 40s, more than males' bodies suffer, and I think she's on the borderline of mid to late 30s now, is she, or thereabouts? So I think her career a bit like Lita. Look at Lita. She looks fantastic, but she can't go anymore. She admits she can't go anymore. And I think, as much as we hate to say it, I think Mickie James is going that way. I think her body is just saying no more.
Okay. You do know that she is in independent wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it's an entirely different thing. When you're wrestling a schedule, even if it's a shortened schedule at WWE, you're fighting normally good people who know what they're doing, and you're taking bumps 3 or 4 days of the week at least. When you're on the independents, you can work when you feel like. If you only want to do one match a month, fair enough, it gives her 3 weeks to recover. With the WWE type of structure, she's probably wrestling at least once a week, so she's just not having long enough for her body to recover from the bumps and strains. And the reason why I say that if you look back over the last 12 months of Mickie James's career in TNA, every 5 minutes she was out with an injury.
It's a valid point. Will, Andy does bring up a fair point. She is not getting any younger. She is, she is busy in her music career, but let's say she did hypothetically try to make a run for the WWE. Let's say if she tried to do what a lot of the new wrestlers who come back, for the second time around, she tries to do a part-time career. Do you think it's possible?
As long as she is in a good condition of health, she is not injury prone like other divas were back in the day, and, she just does everything by the book and everything right. I don't see a problem with part-time, but Andy just stated it. I mean, most days, you get older, you can't go anymore. I mean, your health comes first before anything. So I wouldn't mind part-time, but full-time, forget it.
Lastly, over to you, Lance.
Well, honestly, do we need her with these divas? Yes, they could learn something, but I don't think she could. Her body could withstand it. I mean, she's better off in Nashville, and okay. I don't mean with TNA.
I mean, unfortunately, old age, it's like me. I mean, I wake up every morning, feel like an 18-year-old, but no 18-year-olds want to go out with a 50-year-old. So.
Okay, good point. Well, let me ask you this, Lance. Do you think she would be better if she just wanted to just come back as a trainer? Because that was one of the offers.
Yeah, that would probably work, and they probably wouldn't mess with her music, so she could still do that too.
Okay.
The only thing wrong with that, didn't they re-employ? Oh my God, I can't think.
Finley?
And they organised or rearranged Finley to train the diva. I know it would be nice for a diva to train a diva, but wouldn't that kick Finley out of a job?
No. Not necessarily.
No, because Finley's doing the main roster diva. Sarah Del Rey's doing the NXT divas. So
yeah.
Mickie and Sarah Del Rey can help those NXT divas.
Yeah, and even still, now with the Performance Center, there's so many jobs and so many positions are opening, and that's the good thing about this Performance Center. So, it's not like nobody's going to lose their job, where before, when they had the Performance Center, it's like, you had to look over your shoulders, like, oh, a new trainer's coming in.
Do you know something that everyone's overlooking? What is very rare in wrestling that we all watch wrestling, we watch different brands of wrestling, but there's something that is very rare in wrestling, and I think she could do this job.
Referee?
Ringside commentary. If you watch her interviews, not so much her in-ring skills, microphone-wise, but if you listen to some of her interviews, she's very well educated when it comes to wrestling, very knowledgeable, and very good on the microphone. I think she can do a real good job as a colour commentator if Jerry the King Lawler decide to move along, and I think it would be nice to have a female commentator because there's probably just as many girls watching wrestling these days as there are males, and I think it might encourage an even balance.
Here's the thing though, there was the rumors that Renee Young could also become a ringside announcer.
Yeah, I think that's what they're grooming her for, Renee Young. And she is actually very, very knowledgeable. She's very easy on the eyes. I think Renee Young could very well move up eventually. So that's another good topic while we're on it. Andy, what do you think about Renee Young? Do you, the blonde girl who does the interviews in the back, do you think could you foresee her moving up into the front and being a commentator?
I personally see her in the position that she's in now, because the position that she's in now, she's on camera and she's eye candy. People like Jerry the King Lawler, you actually hear him more than you see him. So something like Mickie James, although she is, in my opinion, eye candy, she hasn't got the body like the younger divas, so she would be fine sitting behind a table and just seeing her pretty face once every so often. I don't think that would make a difference. I don't see the new lady, the new girl, sitting behind a commentary table and looking right. To me, it just doesn't seem. When you see The Miz sitting behind the commentary table, he does a good job, but he looks too young to be behind a commentary table, if you understand where I'm going. The people who are commentators are normally people who've been in the business. They're not in the business anymore, and they're of a mature age. Unfortunately, Mickie James is of a mature age for a woman, and that's where I think it would be the next progression for her to go if she wasn't a trainer. Still on camera, still doing her bit, and she could be sitting on the sidelines, just introducing even if she was the main commentator for the Divas match.
All right. Will, what do you think, real quick? Renee Young, do you foresee her as being a commentator? Yeah, yes or no, or never to cross your mind?
At first, I thought she was gonna be like one of these bubble-headed divas, and I put loosely the word bubble-headed, but, you know, like you said, she's well-talented. I think they're brushing her off to be, you know, one of the best out there, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think she could fit in. I mean, look how she progressed so far. And on a side note, while we're still on commentary subject, I'd like to say congratulations to Byron Saxton. He got moved up to Raw, and I think he'll do well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's James with his
No, that's MVP. That's easy.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Sometimes you both have them, so all right, my mistake. Move along, Lance. Your thoughts?
Honestly, I could see Mickey being the commentator instead of her, but instead of putting her in King's, because let's face it, King's probably gonna be there till he kicks the bucket.
You know, sometimes you wonder that. I don't know.
I'd rather see them get rid of JBL, because to me he seems a little too forced on his, but that's just me personally. So, but yeah, I can see Mickey being the female commentator more than I can see the Renee Young.
Well, let's move forward a little bit.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Renee Young, she is actually a good commentator. She actually does NXT commentary, even though we don't watch it. I watch the NXT. She's a good commentator, but she needs improvement. But I feel like she could do it if she does it well.
Okay. All right. And like I said, I think that's why they're grooming her. So let's move on to Lita's induction to the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, I, for one, think it was perfect, great for her. I'm a big Lita fan. Some people here think it was great for her. Other people think it wasn't really the best timing for her. Andy, over to you.
Yeah, she is a definite deserved Hall of Famer. My personal opinion is they should have waited until next year or maybe the year after, because everybody so far they've put in the Hall of Fame this year is from the Hulk Hogan type era, and she just doesn't seem to fit in that era. To me, it just doesn't seem right that she's up there with the Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake. Not saying that she shouldn't be there, but I think this year is a year too soon.
All right. Here's what the Jake the Snake actually said about it. He goes, you know, he was a little disappointed though. He goes, "This goes my plan to be the best looking WWE Hall of Fame inductee."
Wow.
You know, congratulations to Lita, great talent, well deserved. Amy Domas. On a serious note, Ultimate Warrior also did tweet about the comments, Lita's induction. He said, "Ain't nothing more powerful about being in company of a strong, smart, creative, independent woman. Congrats to Amy."
A thing that struck me when I heard that Lita was going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, because it was leaked out on the internet probably a week before it happened, and I think we covered it last week, that there was a possibility that she was going to be the Hall of Famer. But doesn't it seem ironic that there's been a lot of gossip on the internet over the last couple of weeks that there was Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy coming back to the WWE? Don't you think that's a bit of a kick in the teeth that they've made Lita a Hall of Famer and them pair aren't?
No, I don't. I don't think it's a kick in the teeth, because first off, I think she's a little bit more deserving right now, where, let's face it, Matt and Jeff Hardy is a little bit kind of get a bit of a shady past going on, wouldn't you agree?
I don't think present time, Matt and Jeff Hardy don't stand a prayer of going in the Hall of Fame. Do they?
I agree.
Do they deserve to go in the Hall of Fame? For what they've done in wrestling, yes, it's a bit of a sore subject, just like Chris Benoit and Macho Man Randy Savage. Will they go in the WrestleMania Hall of Fame in the future? I don't know, but they're going to have to clean their act up. And Matt Hardy, I know you do listen to internet radio shows and so on. If you are listening to an internet radio show, hopefully it's this one. Clean your act up, mate, because them videos you put on YouTube suck ass.
You know, I'm a big fan of the Hardys. You know, I like Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy is becoming what people said the Ultimate Warrior was 10 years ago. Bitter, old man.
But I think that happens with a lot of with the wrestlers. They just as they get older, they become a little bit very, very bitter.
But he seems to be bitter with the whole industry, and I think, well, if you're that bitter, get out of it, because you've got nothing to give. I mean, I saw him quite recently in a Ring of Honor show, and the guy sucked. You might as well have seen somebody like Razor Ramon come in, because he was that clueless. He looked clueless.
But I don't think he has anything...
Whether he was on drugs, I don't even know if Matt Hardy does drugs. Whether he was on drugs, whether he was drunk, I have no idea. But the bloke was clueless.
Yeah.
His ring entrance was better than his match.
But let's be honest, even if he did get out, what else would he have left?
Nothing.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of wrestlers stay till they're dying, because they don't have anything left. But let's stay on the positive note. We're talking about Lita right now. Will, your thoughts about Amy Dumas or Lita getting inducted?
Just like I say here always on HWR, when you get that big of an honor, it's good. Look at her career. Look what she's done. She made her debut with a wrestler named S.A. Rios, for those who don't remember. I mean, we didn't know who she was. Then when he got released and she broke out, unbelievable. Who would have thought, you know? So always respect to those who go to the Hall of Fame. She achieved what she had to do, and congratulations.
Absolutely. Congratulations indeed. And now, Lance, over to you. Your thoughts.
Well, are people saying that it's not right because it's looking like a Hogan era Hall of Fame? Me personally, I think they're going to go, since it's WrestleMania 30, they're probably going to take a couple of people from each era, in my opinion. But in regards to Lita, 3 words: about damn time.
Yeah, those 3 words are absolutely fitting. And finally, James, over to you.
That's what everybody says. It's about time that she be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, she has done a whole lot for the women's division back in her days. And basically now the question is who's gonna induct her?
AJ.
I highly doubt AJ. I got it down to at least 3 people.
Punk.
Yeah. I was gonna say Matt Hardy.
No, I'm thinking 3 people: Trish Stratus, Stephanie McMahon, or even Edge.
You know what? Edge would not be a bad pick. That would actually be a good pick.
If Venus has anything to say about it.
As long as they don't have a mattress in the arena, that's all that matters.
And now it's time where sex and wrestling comes together. It's You Don't Know Jack Shit About Wrestling with Ms. Jack Shit.
Hi, this is Will. You have car insurance, but you can't trust somebody else? Hardcore Wrestling Radio got insurance. It's called the HWR. We don't give a fuck about anybody but our insurance. We'll give it deductible for the next 6 months. If you order right now, Andy will give you 6 ways on how to cuss out your ex-wife.
Rick don't know jack shit about presenting the show.
Fuck you too, okay? Fuck you. Moving along, it's time for Jack to ask your questions.
Jack ask my questions.
Jack has some questions.
Rick has lost the plot.
You've lost the plot.
Now Jack's lost the plot.
No, we're just figuring out which microphone I'm using.
Show off.
Rick and I were having a conversation earlier this week, and he was saying something about wrestlers doing their business, and I said, I always thought that was like going to the bathroom. That's not the case. So
Woman in regard to Seth Rollins, yes it is.
Wrestlers do have to do the business just like the rest of us. They might seem superhuman, but they have got a bottom hole that fires out brown torpedoes.
Only here on HWI, guys. Okay, does anybody actually know what the actual wrestling term to do business? Because I do.
To do business is, I'm thinking now on my feet, is to do business when you do the right thing to probably promote somebody. That is like doing the right thing, the business. Is that it?
Correct. What that means is when two wrestlers do whatever it has to do to get the show over or to get anything over. So whether you're a heel or a face, you do whatever you have to get that match over, to get a feud over, anything over. Yes,
yeah,
correct.
Even if it isn't to your liking, you're doing the best thing for the company, not so much for yourself.
Correct. Exactly. Absolutely.
Not just a pretty face.
Yep.
And if you look on YouTube or Facebook, not even a pretty face, but there you go.
Okay, now another term I heard in passing, and
passing business.
Well, that too, but screw job. Well, of course, that's.
You should be talking to Rick about that one.
Yeah, what do you think about it first?
What do I think a screw job is?
Yes.
Well, it's definitely sexual.
No.
It involves a man and a woman.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll take this one, guys. A screw job is just that. It sounds like it's a screw job. Like, let's say if a wrestler is about to get a win, 1-2, and then somebody does a run-in, or it's basically a way of getting a cheap win, or somebody gets a DQ. Now, you know what a DQ is, right?
Yes, a disqualification.
No, Dairy Queen.
Rick,
oh, okay. Well,
I
it's a
got
disqualification.
a big differ with you on the definition of true screw jobs, because it's kind of a controversial thing, which maybe in the scandals and controversies guy. To me, when I think screw jobs, it's like when the ending is changed and only one of the competitors knows it, and they don't tell the other person.
That's
like
really
Montreal.
That's what you call a shoot screw job. That means.
Yeah, I mean, but there's also like last night on Monday Night on Raw. Now, where Mark Henry pretty much had that win over Dean Ambrose, and then Seth Rollins did the run-in and disqualifies. That's a screw job to me, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's also a screw job. But...
Okay, so that's I mean, it's a kayfabe screw job, but not like what you would say like a Montreal screw job, which is legitimate. And obviously, there's several definitions. But let's get on to the next question.
Okay, now, what does it mean to be stiff? I mean, I know it happens when it cuts Rick. That's what happens to him, but
He needs that little blue pill.
I don't need a little blue pill, thank you very much.
Yeah, stiff. The first thing that comes to mind when anyone says stiff, it's the oldest joke in the world. What's the difference between light and hard? The answer is it's easier to sleep with a light on. Stiff is an expression when a wrestler does not pull his punches. When they pretend to throw punches and they're not actually throwing punches, they're like film star punches. It's when he forgets to be a film star and actually does punch or do a clothesline or does something a little bit harder than necessary, sometimes to prove a point to a rookie, a new wrestler. This is how it's done and this is what it really feels like. I think that probably explains stiffing somebody, when you actually do try to cause harm to someone or prove a point.
Yeah, that too. They can also do it accidentally, but most of the time it's a deliberate.
Yeah, normally if you get like a young guy who seems to think he's the be-all and end-all of wrestling, Bradshaw was renowned for it. If some young guy came up to Bradshaw, he thought, I'm going to show you what a clothesline feels like. And he would decapitate him, for the want of a better word, and it'd teach him a lesson, not to be so overconfident.
All right. Well, I think that's this edition of You Don't Know Jack Shit. I think we taught Jack a little bit more about wrestling, and hopefully we'll get to teach him more and more next week. So be sure you guys should come back, and if you have any questions, as always, be sure you put your comments and ask any kind of question you can ask Jack, and we'll be sure we put them right here for Jack Shit. All right, guys. Let's move on here. As we all know, that Naomi is out with an injury, and Cameron this past Monday on Raw actually took her place because we've never really seen Cameron actually win any matches, but she actually won the match, and she won with a DDT. And now, personally, the way I think it, as I'm wondering, is that maybe she's the one who's now up to bat. What do you guys think? I'm going to start out with you, Lance.
Well, I think it's kind of a bullcrap way to do it because, well, what has Cameron actually done besides get on parole for drinking and driving and hitting on and trying to bribe a police officer?
That's very valid. Will, Jake the Snake Roberts actually said this: "It's about time the DDT worked again. Cameron showed others how it's done. No one kicks out of it a real DDT. Maybe I have to show them myself at WWE." And obviously she did that. She did a nice DDT, executed it perfectly. Do you think that the WWE is saying, all right, time to give someone else a shot?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I'm the one that posted the article on HWR earlier today, and, it just seems like now there's no other diva that can contend right now, so, I mean, why not give Cameron a chance? I mean, she's athletic. I mean, she doesn't got the same athletic skills as Naomi, but, to each their own, as they would say. But, but that DDT you said, Rick, yeah, it was nicely executed, and, I couldn't believe Jake Roberts actually praised her on Twitter, and, yeah, you guys know the rest, but overall, very well done.
All right. Andy, your thoughts?
The only thing that worried me was it showed a lack of in-ring skills. Watching the match was a little embarrassing. It was the only embarrassing thing that was worse than what she actually did was when the two Balor twins tried to copy the Hardy Boys, where one of them bends on the floor and they jump on the other person's back, and then springboard off that person's back into the turnbuckle. I don't know if you noticed, she sort of jumped on her sister's back, her sister collapsed and she went face forward instead of landing feet first. Just looked a complete abortion. But to me, Cameron, I don't know, she'd stick to dancing. She just wasn't convincing at all that she knew what she was doing. She did a clothesline. I don't know if you guys, if you've got a DVR, please watch the match back. She did a clothesline on somebody and sort of stood there as much as to say, right, I've clotheslined somebody, they've fallen on the floor, now what do I do? She sort of stopped in the middle of the ring, looked, saw her on the floor, then thought, maybe I should bounce off the ropes a couple of times. She just looked like a complete child.
James.
I have to agree with Andy. I mean, besides the DDT, that was a good DDT. Her as a wrestler doesn't work. I feel like the reports was that if Naomi wasn't injured, she was going to win the title off of AJ before WrestleMania. The question is now, do they put it on Cameron? I don't think it's a good idea if they put it on her. I mean, yeah, she could be in the place where Naomi is, but I don't think she should win the title.
Okay.
I think she's just a fill for Naomi, basically.
All right.
And now it's time to get controversial with Controversies and Scandals with Lance Moss.
Well, it's that time again. It's time for another New Jack scandal.
I put no opinion on this. Thank you very much.
Let's hear him out.
New Jack Gypsy Joe scandal. In April 2003, New Jack, in a memorable hardcore match with longtime wrestler Gilberto Melendez, better known as Gypsy Joe, was continuously no-selling New Jack. New Jack also stated it was in a shoot interview that Joe headbutted him in the nose. This caused New Jack to legitimately attack the sexagenarian with a chain. a framed picture of his aunt, a baseball bat, wrapped in barbed wire, and several other weapons. Before the match, New Jack met with Gypsy Joe, and went to the booker of the show and asked exactly what he was supposed to do with Joe. Jack was told Joe was as tough as leather, and Jack replied that he was not going to lose dollar value from this match, and not going to have a gimmick, either a comedy match or a gimmick match, and told the booker he will kill Joe in a hardcore match. You guys' thoughts?
I think it just goes again to show we've been talking. You've had a series of his matches, and it just goes to show how he is. He's obviously just a very angry, very pissed off person who has no right being in the business at all. Andy, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen New Jack on interviews, and he is a very good interview. There's no two ways about it. But when it comes down to wrestling, take the hardcore out of New Jack, and I'm sorry, he hasn't got nothing. The guy is an hardcore legend, for the want of a better term, but he's got nothing else that he can do. If he relies heavily on his gimmick, and not many people will fight the guy because he's got such a bad reputation. He is an accident waiting to happen, and the quicker he does something serious, and I hope it doesn't happen to anyone that's of any importance, but the quicker he does something serious to somebody and maims them really bad and gets completely banned from every state in America, the world will be a better place without the guy, because the guy is he's just a thug. He's not a wrestler, he's just a thug.
Yeah, I absolutely have to agree with you 100%.
He's everything that's bad in wrestling. Without any shadow of a doubt, he is what we all hate in wrestling. He is it. Not really got a good word to say about the guy, apart from the only person that likes what he does is himself.
Will, over to you. Your thoughts.
Wow. I just thought New Jack was just a crazy-ass wrestler. Ah, man. Back in his ECW days, I'm just like, man, tone down a bit. But just hearing this from Lance is just like, anybody that gets in the ring with New Jack is just going to have a set of problems. And wow, man, you just want to put New Jack in handcuffs and calm him down until he knows something. That's it. I don't know. I mean, New Jack's just a crazy wrestler. That's all I can say.
James, over to you.
James?
I think James went and hiding in the closet now.
Oh, I guess he did. Oh.
Yeah, and
I think James misheard the question when he said, "What do you think about New Jack?" I think he thought you said New Jack's here.
Well, let's move on for our last subject. And this past week on Impact, we saw Kurt Angle get attacked, and it was by EC3. And EC3 took his knees out, and then eventually saw the referee throw up the X symbol, which was obviously a kayfabe thing. I think it was kind of like out of order for them to do that. I mean, because we've always been, told, or at least it's always been believed, that signal is when a referee or a wrestler is truly hurt. And now they're using that for a kayfabe thing. I don't know what you guys think, but I just don't like it at all. Andy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. If they're going to start doing it on storylines to give them some kind of credibility, at what point is a referee going to mean it? And the people in the back think, storyline.
Yeah.
Normally when they do the cross arms, this guy's got a serious issue, get the first aid people out ASAP. What happens if the first aid guy's watching the monitor, sees him do that, and someone's told him in the back, the referee's going to do the cross arms, just ignore it, it's nothing serious, don't worry. Halfway through the match, something serious does happen, and the bloke's burst a main artery for the sake of a better thing. Up goes the cross arms, the first aid guy goes, let's have another coffee.
Yeah.
Something serious is going to come from it. It's there as a a secret signal, which the secret is out now. It's there as a secret signal for everybody that's concerned in the wrestling industry, and when they start abusing it like that, it's dangerous, in my opinion. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody knows what it is. I mean, he could have just waved him down like that, and we would have known, okay, yeah, bring down the EMTs. But to throw the X up, I mean, you're hurt. No bullshit. Stop the show. And yeah. James, do you agree with that, or you disagree with that? What do you think?
I mean, it really also depends on when it does. When they check on if they see immediate, like they know they're really injured, they throw it up immediately. But I think, yeah, it really depends on like the company also. I just with the X symbol, you have to use it carefully.
All right, Lance, your thoughts?
With doing it like that, you're on a high risk of turning it into a kind of a boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly my thoughts. And Will, finally, your thoughts?
All right, wrestling promotions and writers and owners, listen to me very carefully. If one of your stars is hurt, don't neglect the X sign, because it'll be on your ass if somebody or something or someone gets hurt. Now, we can sit here all day and talk about injuries, but we don't have the promotions for it yet. We don't have pizzas to eat all night. Or, just my opinion. These wrestling companies need to be termed with respect. When someone throws an X, it's not buried treasure, you dumb fucks. That means get your asses out there, get your doctors, get your physicians, and take care of your talent. Fuck a cup of coffee. Fuck the, it's just a... No. Get up out your ass, go over there, and that's it. If not, then you're going to get bad reputation down the line. And so, go ahead, James.
No, continue, finish.
Bottom line I just want to say is, companies should not be neglectful upon talent or their own writers, because if it can happen to a wrestler, there could be a backstage accident. It doesn't matter what. Just don't be so neglectful. That's all. That's it.
With WWE, I think they usually have like a ringside person there just to check first. Then if it's like serious, then they bring out the EMTs.
Yeah, but that's in the WWE. We're talking about TNA, which probably doesn't have that kind of service.
Yeah, they don't. Mm-mm.
Exactly. So and that's a totally different situation. I mean, TNA probably doesn't have the money to have that extra person, down by there yet. I mean, WWE has shitloads of money where they could probably have an extra 5 or 6 people down there if they really wanted to. But you know what, guys? I think we're gonna wrap it up. We want to thank everyone for listening in, and of course, we want to make sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Please make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Andy, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me at www.stokehaunted.com, and from that link you'll find all the other links where you can find me available at.
And Will is over on uVlog. You can find him over at the Hood. Will, what do you got going on over there?
The same routine: video games, game show runs, football debates, wrestling debates, and anything else in between. Just don't tell James I kicked him on the hole on the bit strip. Oops.
Oh, jeez. And speaking of James...
I saw that bit strip.
Speaking of James, he's over on uVlog too, under the Who Dat Temple. James, what do you got going on?
Same thing as MVP, just without the video games, because I'm known to do the video games. But game show talk, sports talk, wrestling talk. If I'm still alive before Billy and MVP gets me.
All right. And Lance, what do you got going over on Lance Moss TV at YouTube.com?
Album reviews, NASCAR reviews, redneck gourmet cooking videos, and whatever else pops in my head.
Alright. And Ms. Jack Shit, as always, we'd love to thank you for coming on again. And why don't you tell us what you got going on over on the Numbers channel? Or, I'm sorry, it's 09876543321. That's for you, Boston.
Oh, gosh, I know. We don't want to make that mistake again. Yeah, you can find me over on Zello. Search me out, Jack Shit. I am in the 09876543321 channel, as I was corrected. Steve on YouTube corrected me. And I just want to say hi to all of the new subscribers that we've gotten on YouTube. We've had a few new subscribers this past week, and thank you for listening to the show.
Thank you indeed, absolutely. And anytime you all want to have something to say, feel free to put it in the comments, and you will be mentioned on our next show. We will give you a shout-out right here on Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And anytime you want to check us out on our Facebook page, and that's facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And you can, as always, listen to our shows, watch our tributes, and a whole bunch of other new stuff we got coming on the channel right over on youtube.com/HWR Show. So for everyone here, this is the Shining Star, Rick Star, saying we'll see you when we see you.
Who do I have to kill to not give me the name of
That would be Billy. Give him a chair shot. Thank you for listening to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to follow us on our pages, facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio and Spreaker.com/HWR Media, and also on youtube.com/HWR Show. Until the next time, this is Rick Starr saying see you when we see you.